Okay, so now we're going to do the flower assembly. So what you need to do is take your craft knife or your scissors, whichever you prefer. My craft knife, you can do this on a cutting board. I'm doing this on a timber board, which is fine for small cuts. Work my way around, just cut out, I just want to cut out pieces 1 and 2, which is these first 2 pieces here. So 1, which is the star, and number 2 is this pentagon. So we need these 3 pieces to get started with. Right, so this is I quite like this paper. I've chosen this paper. It's a paper made in Japan. It's a washi paper. Very beautifully made. It's machine made. It's not like washi is traditionally handmade and with like scooping pulp out over a net. This is made in a different way, much the same way that modern papers are made, in big rolls and so forth. So this is normally used for screens in the interior of homes, and this is a regular hardware shop variety of this material. I like it. It's very thin. It's very consistent. It laser cuts beautifully, and I like it all round. It's very flexible. It's very soft, but it's also very strong and very durable material. So you notice that there's a few things about this sheet, is that there's a smooth side and there's a rough side. So what we want is the rough side facing up, and you also might just pay attention, have a look, and you'll see that there are some beautifully perforated or laser perforated parts of the sheet. They correspond to geometries that line up, such as this and also this. So the idea of these 3 sheets altogether is that these sheets provide a little bit of additional strength and rigidity. What they do is they stiffen the paper in the right spots. So I experimented with stiffening all different parts of the sheet and the model. What I found was that these ones added more to the mechanism, so they stiffened and rigidized parts of the mechanism. So yeah, so what I want you to do is find the rough side of the washi. So you can find that either by feeling it or by examining it in light, and you can see that one side is definitely more rough. Have that side facing rough, facing up, and do the same with the kraft sheet. This may be a little bit harder to tell for you. So in general, it's a little bit rougher, and the reason we want the rougher side is because those two sides are gonna stick together better. Get your paper out, get your glue. This particular glue that I use is a purple vanishing type, which is great because it goes on purple, which means you can see where and how much you've put on, but when it dries, it goes clear, and it's a good thing that you know that it's dry. So apply a liberal amount. You don't want to go too crazy, but like this much is about the right amount that you can see that I'm putting on here. And then before it dries, we will put it in place on our oribo, on our petal. So you just want to line it up as best you can with the pattern underneath. There will be a little bit of variation between sheets, but you should be able to get quite a good alignment. So if you have a look here, the alignment between the sheets is the alignment between the pattern is quite good. Okay, so that's satisfactory. So now we'll turn it over, and we're going to apply our glue to the rough side of the small pentagon here. And as you can probably guess, it's going to go in this center pentagon. So I'm just going to stand up and above it so that I can get this nicely aligned, like so. And then what I want to do is I want to put this aside to dry, and I want to put something heavy or reasonably heavy on top. I've got a copy of the Issei Super Complex Origami. You may not have such a fancy volume to use in this case, but great book. Good reference for the origami masters out there. So I just put that aside to dry. And now I'm going to get to work on cutting out the last two pieces of the mechanism. So I might use scissors this time just to get in here, trim up. Just cut out the edges. You may find in some cases the laser cutter hasn't gone all the way through. We do balance the laser cutting power to be just right on the edge of cutting, so as to sort of, burn or scald the paper as little as possible. So sometimes it works out that it's not quite all the way through. So just trim up the sheet if you have one that's like that, and work your way around and untrim it. See, I've got one here that hasn't quite cut through, but just a little bit of a pull gets it apart. And I will just trim off this sheet now. Okay, good. I've got my two pieces, and we're going to get to work folding them up. So now let's have a look. Good. So the process is you'll see that on each of the sheets there's a bit of a score, there's a perforation, and we're folding along those perforations. So I want you to find the rough side. In this case we're finding the rough side, and we're folding it around and going to wrap it up like this, and then wrap it up in on itself like so. So it'll be like this. So it's wrapped up in on itself. So each of the petals are folded in. I'll show you again a little bit closer here. So folding along the line. You may find it easier to do it from the other side where you can see the line a little bit more clearly. And just fold it all the way up like so. Now, so take care to go along the lines. Sometimes the paper will fold easier along the lines, but it is a stiff paper, so just take care that it actually does fold along those lines. And in this case you can see I'm sort of varying the process somewhat, getting them folded up nice. And here we go. All right, so that's that piece. Now, if you are the meticulous type, you can use the back edge of your scissors or any other device, flat, even if you've got a bone folder, it's perfect for this. You can just really flatten down those creases so they're nice and strong. Okay, now we'll get to work on this one. And in this case, we want the rough side. In this instance, I'm folding it such that the rough side is this side. So I'm folding, in this case, away from me along these perforated edges. So the process is we're folding it in and then out. So this is on the rough side at the moment. Rough side's facing up. So I actually find it easier to fold on this side, mountain fold these two folds away from me, like so, and then put them back in place. But I find it easier to valley fold these two creases here, like so. they should just go one by one. So do this at your own pace. It's ideal at these, you know, if you want to pause the video so that you can do this part quite easily, quite straightforward. Just give it a pause now so you can do these parts and take your time. Okay, so now I'm going to do all the valley folds, work my way around the sheet. So these are parts, these two pieces form the actual parts of the mechanism that do the open and close. And these two sheets, we're going to, in a short moment, we're going to glue them together and they'll form these small ridges that stiffens this section considerably using a very small amount of material. So we will put these creases in place now, so they're on this side, and we're folding those inwards in this case, so giving a little bit of a nice tough crease there. All right. And these creases we will do once we get to the next step. So now what we're going to do is we're going to join these two parts together. See, this particular piece is a reinforcement, and you'll notice that if you overlay those two sheets, that they basically line up and they're the same geometry.